Story number 1. Shadows of the Forsaken Inn. The summer of 2001 was one we'd never forget. The memory of that fateful summer still lurks in my mind, sending shivers down my spine. I was a young journalist back then, fresh out of college, named Emma. My best friend, Claire, a paranormal investigator, shared my thirst for the unknown. The suburbs always seemed to be untouched by horror tales, yet they held more secrets than the eye could see. We were out to document paranormal incidents, hoping for something that would make a breakthrough in our careers. On the outskirts of town stood the infamous Roseway Hotel, a place long forgotten by time. The once glorious establishment was now a shadow of its past, with a history tainted with stories of suicide and inexplicable deaths. Rumors of ghostly apparitions and blood-curdling screams in the night had become its new legacy. They said the Roseway Hotel was the devil's playground, with rooms that told tales of devil worship, exorcisms, and despair. Claire had managed to get us in touch with two locals, Jack, a young historian with a fascination for the hotel's legacy, and Lucy, a former employee who had witnessed events so terrifying that she'd left her job overnight. We began our investigation during the day. The broad daylight did little to strip away the hotel's eeriness. Jack gave us a brief history of the hotel, detailing several suicides that happened in room 313. Lucy recounted tales of guests checking in but never checking out, and chilling whispers in the hallways when no one was around. The true horror began when night fell. Armed with our recording equipment, we settled in room 313. Jack had warned us that this room was a hotspot for paranormal activity. Lucy, although hesitant, agreed to join us. I remember lying on the bed, trying to catch some sleep, when Claire whispered, "Do you hear that?" A faint chanting emanated from the walls, growing louder with every passing second. Lucy clutched her cross, her face pale. The room's temperature dropped suddenly. Our breaths turned visible in the icy cold air. Without warning, the room's door slammed shut. The chanting grew louder, echoing words of a long-forgotten language. Lucy began to sob, recounting an event where she had witnessed a failed exorcism in this very room. The victim had succumbed to his injuries, and his restless spirit was believed to still wander these halls. As she spoke, a shadowy figure appeared, hovering above the bed. Its eyes were hollow, and its hands outstretched towards us. Claire tried to communicate, asking questions, and urging the spirit to find peace. Suddenly, the room lit up with an eerie glow, revealing inscriptions on the walls that hadn't been there before. Jack, ever the historian, recognized them as symbols used in ancient devil worship rituals. He believed the Roseway Hotel was built on sacred ground, making it a magnet for otherworldly entities. The night was long and filled with unspeakable horrors. Objects moved on their own, ghostly apparitions appeared and disappeared, and the haunting cries of souls long gone filled the corridors. By dawn, we had enough evidence to confirm the paranormal activity at the Roseway Hotel. Years have passed since that night. The Roseway Hotel was eventually demolished, and the land was consecrated. But the memories still haunt me. Every shadow, every whisper reminds me of the Forsaken Inn and its trapped souls. And though we escaped unscathed, a piece of our souls will forever be trapped in the memories of that summer in 2001. Story number 2. Echoes of the Midnight Manor. The year 2002, though 2 decades ago, feels like yesterday when I close my eyes. Those haunting memories, the relentless whispers of the Midnight Manor, and the secrets it held, still play in my mind. My name is Alex, an ambitious filmmaker. My friends, Mia and Ryan, always had a thing for horror. Together, we set out to document the truth behind the tales of the Midnight Manor, a place that the locals of our suburban town always spoke of in hushed tones. Our aim? To unravel the mysteries of the many unexplained deaths, the stories of devil worship, and the ghosts that lingered in its long-forgotten rooms. As a part of our investigation, We contacted two individuals with unique insights into the manor. Jeremy, a former detective who had investigated a series of suicides at the manor, and Elise, a psychic, reputed to have successfully communicated with spirits at haunted locations across the country. The manor was grand, though in disrepair, its majestic pillars and large windows bearing witness to a time of opulence. But beneath its beauty, the air was thick with a palpable sense of dread. On our first night, Elise conducted a séance in the infamous ballroom, the site of most suicides. The room was cold, and an eerie silence enveloped us. Mia operated the camera while Ryan took notes. Jeremy kept a watchful eye, always the skeptic. As Elise chanted, her voice seemed to be swallowed by the darkness. A gust of wind blew, extinguishing the candles, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. A voice, neither male nor female, whispered, "Why have you returned?" Elise, visibly shaken, communicated with the spirit, trying to understand its pain. It spoke of rituals, of a cult that used the manor for devil worship, and of souls sacrificed in the name of power. Jeremy revealed that during his investigation, he had discovered evidence pointing towards occult practices, but due to a lack of concrete evidence, it was never officially recorded. That night, as I tried to sleep, a shadow loomed over me, its touch cold as ice. I jolted awake, only to find the room empty. Ryan, too, spoke of nightmares that seemed too real, of souls begging to be set free. Mia documented strange occurrences like doors slamming shut and ghostly apparitions in the hallways. As days turned into nights, the manor's secrets began to unravel. The spirits spoke of unspeakable horrors, of innocents lured into the manor, only to be sacrificed in rituals. The ballroom's grand chandelier had been witness to these rituals, its crystals stained with the blood of countless souls. On our final night, as we prepared to leave, the spirits made one last plea, begging us to free them from the shackles of the manor. Elise, drawing from her psychic abilities, conducted an exorcism to release the spirits. The manor shook, lights flickered, and a scream echoed through its walls. And then, silence. We left the Midnight Manor, our footage a testament to its haunting tales. The manor was eventually sealed off, with rumors of it being razed to the ground. Now, as I recall those events, the weight of the manor's history weighs heavy on my soul. We escaped its clutches, but the echoes of the Midnight Manor's tormented souls still haunt my dreams. Story number 3. Whispers of the Hollow Inn. The scars of 2003 never truly faded. As I pen down this memory, the remnants of those events still haunt the recesses of my mind, a chilling reminder of what lies beyond the veil of our world. My name is Ethan, and my partner in this tale of horror was Lila, a vibrant, investigative journalist. Our shared passion for the unexplained and mysterious had led us to collaborate on numerous projects. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could prepare us for the Hollow Inn. The Hollow Inn stood tall, though derelict, at the edge of a sleepy suburban town. Once a bustling establishment, it had earned the grim title of the Suicide Hotel over the decades. There were whispers of the inn being a hotbed for devil worshippers and of guests who checked in but were never seen again. To delve deeper into the inn's mysteries, we enlisted the expertise of 3 individuals. Adrian, a seasoned police officer who had witnessed unexplained occurrences at the inn; Olivia, a renowned psychic known for her acute sensitivity to spirits; and Ben, an academic with a keen interest in ancient cult practices. I remember our first night at the inn. The air was thick with anticipation. Olivia, almost immediately, sensed the presence of restless spirits. In the dim light of our lanterns, she whispered about visions of ritualistic ceremonies, where innocent souls were offered to dark deities. Ben, leafing through some old registers he had found, stumbled upon frequent mentions of a secretive group that often booked the inn's basement for their nocturnal activities. They always paid in old gold coins, and their leader signed only as the Red Hand. While we documented these findings, Adrian patrolled the inn's corridors, his police instincts on high alert. Late into the night, he recounted an incident from his early years on the force. A woman had been found dead in her room, her eyes wide with terror, yet there was no sign of foul play. Her death, like many others at the inn, remained an unsolved mystery. The horrors escalated as the nights passed. I was awakened by the cold touch of invisible hands, trying to pull me under the bed. Lila heard whispers calling her to the basement, leading her to an ancient altar, the center of which was stained with centuries-old blood. One evening, in a trance-like state, Olivia began drawing symbols on the ground, symbols that Ben recognized as those used in summoning rituals. He postulated that the inn's basement was a conduit, a portal to another realm, used by the devil worshippers to draw power from the other side. Determined to put an end to the inn's dark legacy, we decided to conduct an exorcism. Olivia, with her psychic abilities, would lead the ritual, while the rest of us formed a protective circle around her. As she began chanting, the very foundation of the inn trembled. Shadows danced on the walls, and an oppressive force threatened to suffocate us. The climax of our ordeal was marked by a deafening scream, echoing from the depths of the inn. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it stopped. A calm settled, and for the first time in days, the inn felt empty. We left the Hollow Inn with more questions than answers. Though we had managed to quell the immediate threat, the mysteries of the inn remained unsolved. Now, as I recall that fateful year of 2003, I often wonder about the inn's secrets and the souls it had claimed. The whispers of the Hollow Inn serve as a chilling reminder of the thin line that separates our world from the unknown. Story number 4. The Shadows of Lament Lodge. A year imprinted in my mind with a darkness that refuses to fade. Even as I write this, I can still hear the hushed voices, the soft cries, and the distant, chilling laughter that resonated within the haunted walls of Lament Lodge. I am Jessica, a paranormal investigator. Alongside me was Claire, a close friend and an avid photographer with a penchant for the eerie and mysterious. Our pursuit for the unexplained had led us to various haunted locations, but Lament Lodge, a dilapidated hotel on the fringes of a forgotten suburb, was unlike any other. For this investigation, we teamed up with Lucas, a historian well-versed in local legends, and Kaylee, a medium renowned for her uncanny ability to connect with the spirit realm. As I drove us to the hotel, Lucas briefed us on the history of Lament Lodge. Established in the late 1800s, the hotel soon became infamous for the alarming number of guests who took their own lives within its rooms. Whispered rumors hinted at devil worship and nefarious ceremonies conducted in the shadows of its corridors. On entering the lodge, an oppressive heaviness filled the air. Claire, with her camera in tow, began capturing the faded elegance of its interiors. The peeling wallpaper, the dust-laden chandeliers, and the creaky wooden floors seemed to harbor tales of horror. Kaylee, sensitive to the energies, was immediately drawn to room 13. The door, unlike others, was sealed shut. With some effort, we managed to pry it open. Inside, the room was cold, the air thick with sadness. Through a seance, Kaylee made contact with a distraught spirit, a young woman who spoke of being lured into the devil-worshipping cult that operated from the lodge. Her life was taken in a dark ritual, her spirit trapped forever within the confines of room 13. The nights at Lament Lodge were particularly harrowing. Claire and I often heard footsteps in the corridor outside our room, despite us being the only living souls in the hotel. Lucas, during one of his nightly explorations, stumbled upon a hidden basement. Here, he found remnants of ritualistic ceremonies, candles, pentagrams, and old journals detailing rituals to summon entities from the netherworld. The climax of our stay was the grand exorcism Kaylee planned to free the spirits bound to the lodge. With Lucas reciting prayers, Claire documenting the event, and me assisting Kaylee, the exorcism began. The lodge seemed to come alive, reacting violently to our attempts. Lights flickered, windows shattered, and the air grew colder. Suddenly, Kaylee screamed, her body convulsing. She relayed messages from the spirits, pleading for release from the torment they had endured at the hands of the cult. With one final, powerful chant, Kaylee collapsed, and a silence enveloped the lodge. The next morning, we left Lament Lodge, the weight of its tragic history bearing heavily on our hearts. We managed to free some of the spirits, but the shadows of the lodge's dark past remained. Now, as I look back on that fateful year of 2004, I often wonder about the entities that still linger in the lodge's forgotten rooms. The shadows of Lament Lodge, though distant, serve as a haunting reminder of the price of dabbling with forces beyond our comprehension. Story number 5. Echoes of the Morning Motel. A year forever stained with the terrifying memories of the Morning Motel. Recounting this tale makes my hands tremble, but the story must be told. My name is Alex, an amateur filmmaker with dreams of documenting the paranormal. Accompanying me on this ill-fated journey were my friends, Ryan, a fellow filmmaker and skeptic, and Mia, our fearless sound technician. Together, we planned to capture the haunting whispers of the Morning Motel. As part of our crew, we invited 2 specialists, Eliza, a young, fiery journalist who'd previously written about haunted locales, and Derek, an occult expert with knowledge on dark rituals and ancient sects. I still remember the day we arrived at the motel. Nestled in an almost forgotten suburb, the Morning Motel had long been abandoned. Legends spoke of guests disappearing without a trace, of sinister rituals, and rooms where the walls reportedly wept blood. The first evening, Mia set up microphones throughout the motel. In the eerie silence, she captured unsettling whispers and the soft, distant sound of crying. Ryan, always the skeptic, was convinced it was interference, but Mia's unease was palpable. Eliza and Derek began their research. In a dusty, old guest book, Eliza discovered repetitive entries from a group called the Veiled Circle. Derek, recognizing the name, informed us that they were a devil-worshipping cult, known to operate in secluded areas during the 70s and 80s. On our third night, as Ryan was filming an empty hallway, he caught the apparition of a woman in white. She stared directly into the camera, her eyes hollow, before vanishing. For the first time, Ryan was speechless, his skepticism replaced by fear. As days turned into nights, the occurrences intensified. I was awoken by a chilling breeze, despite all windows being shut. Mia constantly heard the soft lullaby of a child, always distant, always out of reach. But the most chilling event was yet to come. Derek, intrigued by the stories of Room 9, where most guests disappeared, decided to conduct a seance. With all of us present, he began to communicate with the spirits. Suddenly, the room turned frigid, and a voice echoed, "Free us." In the dim light, the apparitions of the motel's victims materialized. They revealed the horrors they'd endured at the hands of the Veiled Circle, sacrificed in their unholy rituals. Determined to put an end to the torment, Derek decided to perform an exorcism. With Mia recording the sounds, Ryan and Eliza filming, and me assisting Derek, we began the ritual. The motel resisted, with lights bursting and walls shaking. The spirits cried out in pain and anger. Then, as abruptly as it began, a calm settled. The spirits, now free, whispered their gratitude before fading away. The curse of the Morning Motel was broken. When we left the motel, the weight of the experience weighed heavily on our hearts. We had witnessed the unspeakable, and it changed us forever. Now, reflecting on 2005, I often revisit the footage we captured, a haunting reminder of the thin veil separating our world from the unknown. The echoes of the Morning Motel, while distant, will forever reverberate in the chambers of my soul. Story number 6. The Desolation of Dusk Ridge Inn. The year was 2006, and the chilling events at Dusk Ridge Inn remain as clear in my memory as the day they unfolded. The dark corridors, the stifled cries, the oppressive silence, it's a tale I'm compelled to share. I am Ethan, a young writer aiming to pen the next great American horror novel. My best friend, Lily, a budding artist, always had a fascination with the paranormal. Our shared interests often led us on thrilling adventures, but none could compare to the week we spent at Dusk Ridge Inn. For our expedition, we were joined by 3 specialists. Fiona, an ambitious journalist always chasing the next big story, Dr. Samuel, a clinical psychologist researching the effects of haunted locations on the human psyche, and Tristan, an experienced paranormal investigator with an arsenal of ghost hunting equipment. Driving to the inn, the dense woods on either side felt as though they were closing in on us, and a palpable sense of unease set in. Perched on a hill in an old suburb, Dusk Ridge Inn was a monument to bygone opulence, now cloaked in an aura of desolation. Our first night was an exercise in anxiety. Lily, ever the sensitive soul, felt watched. As she sketched the inn's facade, she would often glance over her shoulder, her eyes wide with fear. That evening, Fiona shared tales she had unearthed, of guests who checked in but never departed, of rooms that moaned in the dead of night, and of a shadowy figure that stalked the halls. As the days progressed, strange occurrences became the norm. Dr. Samuel, usually a picture of composure, confessed to hearing whispered conversations in his room. One evening, as Tristan was setting up his equipment in the ballroom, he felt a cold hand graze his neck, only to find no one behind him. But the true horror revealed itself on our penultimate night. Drawn by an inexplicable urge, Lily and I ventured into the inn's basement. Amidst the cobwebs and dampness, we discovered an old shrine with symbols of devil worship. In the center lay an aged book detailing rituals to summon dark entities. Realizing the gravity of our discovery, we summoned the others. Determined to rid the inn of its malevolent presence, Tristan proposed an exorcism. As Dr. Samuel chanted incantations, the rest of us formed a protective circle. The air grew thick, the temperature dropped, and shadows danced on the walls. A cacophony of voices rose, speaking of pain, betrayal, and a desire for release. In the midst of this chaos, a powerful entity made its presence felt, its rage threatening to consume us. With one final, desperate plea, Fiona implored the spirits to move on, to find peace. After what felt like an eternity, calm returned. The entity, along with the tormented souls, had been banished. In the days that followed, Dusk Ridge Inn seemed less ominous, as if a heavy veil had been lifted. But the memories of that week would stay with us forever. Now, looking back at 2006, I realized that our encounter at Dusk Ridge Inn was more than just a haunting experience. It was a testament to the strength of human spirit and the thin line that separates our world from the one beyond. Story number 7. Whispers of Wraithmore Inn. 2007 was a year of thrill and terror, of discovery and near doom. Reflecting upon that time, I can still feel the cold grasp of Wraithmore Inn's haunted halls. I am Jenna, an ardent traveler with a passion for uncovering lost tales and forgotten stories. Joined by my childhood friend, Max, a cinematographer with a penchant for the eerie, we embarked on an expedition to Wraithmore Inn, rumored to be America's most haunted establishment. For this voyage into the unknown, we teamed up with 2 seasoned professionals, Natasha, an archaeologist obsessed with urban legends, and Owen, a medium known for his deep connection with the spirit world. Wraithmore Inn, located in a desolate suburb, stood defiant against time, its once grandeur now masked by layers of neglect. Upon our arrival, the inn seemed dormant, yet there was an unmistakable aura of waiting. From the very first night, oddities plagued us. Doors creaked open of their own accord, and flickering lights cast ghostly shadows. Natasha uncovered old records of unexplained deaths dating back to the 1800s, with a common link: all victims were found in room 13. The room was said to be a nexus of dark rituals, a favored haunt for a devil-worshipping cult known as the Silent Order. One evening, as Max was capturing the inn's Gothic architecture, he stumbled upon a concealed room. Inside lay remnants of occult symbols and dried bloodstains. Owen, sensing the room's dark energy, warned us of its dangerous past, but our curiosity overpowered caution. Choosing to hold a seance in that very room, we aimed to communicate with the spirits of Wraithmore. As Owen channeled the spirits, the temperature plunged, and the oppressive atmosphere intensified. Natasha, documenting the event, whispered that the readings on her devices were off the charts. Then, with a deafening roar, apparitions of tormented souls appeared, recounting tales of being lured to the inn and sacrificed by the Silent Order. But one spirit, Elizabeth, stood out. With deep sadness in her eyes, she shared her story of being trapped and used as a conduit for their dark magic. Understanding the gravity of our situation, Owen, with a sense of urgency, began an exorcism to free Elizabeth and the others. The inn resisted with violent force, shaking its foundations. Max and I clung to each other, fear evident in our eyes. Natasha, with remarkable bravery, started reciting protective chants. With a bright flash and a deafening roar, the spirits were finally set free. The inn's menace had been vanquished, replaced by a serene quietness. Emerging from that harrowing experience, our bond was stronger than ever. Wraithmore Inn, with all its dark secrets, had tested our limits. Revisiting 2007, I'm reminded of our brush with the supernatural, the thin boundary between the living and the dead, and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unspeakable horrors. The memories of Wraithmore will forever haunt the recesses of my mind. Story number 8. Echoes from the Edgewater Motel. 2008 was a year that will forever be etched in my memory, not for its joys, but for its horrors. The harrowing events at the Edgewater Motel remain as vivid today as they were then. I am Claire, a historian intrigued by dark tales. Accompanied by my siblings, Lucas and Elise, we've always been drawn to places that held tragic stories. Our shared curiosity about the haunted past of the Edgewater Motel led us on a journey we'd never forget. Joining us were two individuals with unique expertise. Grant, a paranormal researcher with an impressive track record of documenting supernatural events, and Mia, a psychic medium renowned for her ability to converse with spirits. The Edgewater Motel, located in a quiet suburb, was notorious as a suicide hotel. Over the decades, countless souls had taken their lives within its walls, giving rise to chilling tales of ghostly apparitions and eerie sounds. From the onset, the motel seemed to be shrouded in an aura of melancholy. Elise, sensitive to such energies, often commented on feeling a heavy weight pressing down on her. As nights turned into days, we began experiencing a series of unexplainable phenomena. Disembodied voices whispered in the corridors, and chilling drafts passed through closed rooms. One evening, as Lucas and Grant were reviewing their footage, they stumbled upon an unsettling scene, shadowy figures moving aimlessly in room 309, the motel's most infamous suite. Mia, sensing the heightened energy, revealed that the room was the epicenter of a powerful curse, a consequence of a devil-worshipping cult that had once operated there. Feeling a mix of dread and responsibility, we decided to hold a seance in room 309, aiming to understand and hopefully free the restless spirits. With Mia leading the session, we reached out to the other side. The air grew cold, and an oppressive silence enveloped us. Suddenly, a barrage of voices cried out, each sharing their tales of woe and despair, all linked to the malevolent force that the cult had summoned. As Mia communicated with the spirits, she learned of their desire to be freed from the motel's confines. They spoke of a ritual, orchestrated by the cult, that bound them to the Edgewater. Realizing the gravity of our discovery, Grant suggested performing an exorcism to break the curse and release the tormented souls. What followed was a night of terror. The motel fought back with unparalleled fury, its walls bleeding and lights flickering violently. Elise and I clutched each other, praying for an end to the nightmare. Lucas, showing immense bravery, recited incantations to strengthen the exorcism's power. With a final, ear-piercing scream, the malevolent force was expelled. A calm descended, and the Edgewater Motel was finally free of its dark past. As I look back on 2008, I remember the profound impact the Edgewater Motel had on us. It was a stark reminder of the lingering pain and anguish that can tie spirits to the earthly realm, and of the power of determination and unity in the face of unspeakable horrors. The echoes from the Edgewater still haunt my dreams, a testament to the thin line between our world and the one beyond. Story number 9. The Whispers of Hollow Hills Inn. 2009 wasn't just a year, it was an ordeal, a confrontation with the unknown that changed my perspective on life and death. The haunting events at Hollow Hills Inn became a chilling testament to the supernatural that few can believe. I'm Noah, an investigative journalist. My friend, Emma, a fellow writer, shared with me a spine-chilling lead on Hollow Hills Inn, which was gaining a reputation as the suburb's suicide hotel. Eager to delve into the story, we assembled a team. Joining us were Alex, an audiology expert, Lydia, a renowned psychic, and Vince, a scholar in occult practices. Our collective mission was to uncover the truth behind the unsettling stories emanating from the inn. Our initial days were characterized by strange occurrences. Taps turned on spontaneously, voices echoed through vacant halls, and inexplicable cold spots dotted the property. But the most eerie of all was the constant whispering that Alex's high-frequency microphones picked up. These whispered conversations, imperceptible to the human ear, seemed to be between entities discussing their tragic ends. While exploring the inn's basement, Lydia stumbled upon a hidden chamber filled with occult symbols and artifacts. Vince identified these as tools for devil worship. It became evident that the inn had been the site of dark rituals, explaining the overpowering negative energy. One evening, as Emma and I sifted through historical records, we discovered a shocking fact. The inn's original owner, back in the late 1800s, was a known occultist, rumored to have sacrificed his own life in exchange for dark powers. This revelation provided a chilling context for the inn's haunted reputation. Driven by a sense of duty, Lydia proposed conducting a seance to communicate with the spirits, hoping to offer them solace. As we gathered in the inn's grand ballroom, the atmosphere grew palpably dense. When Lydia reached out to the spirits, a vortex of emotions engulfed us. From the ethereal void emerged tales of despair, manipulation, and betrayal, all linked to the inn's malevolent past. Recognizing the immense suffering that trapped the spirits, Vince suggested a combined ritual of exorcism and purification. As the ritual commenced, the inn became a battleground of wills. Lights shattered, walls trembled, and an unearthly scream filled the air. In the climax of our confrontation, Emma, drawing upon an unknown reservoir of strength, fervently recited a prayer of liberation. As the final word left her lips, the oppressive energy was lifted, replaced by a serene calmness. The Hollow Hills Inn, once a nexus of sorrow, was reborn, its tortured souls finding the peace they had long been denied. Today, as I reflect on 2009, the memories of Hollow Hills Inn remain vivid, serving as a constant reminder of the mysteries that surround us, and the enduring power of hope, resilience, and redemption in the face of darkness. Story number 10. The Shadows of Harrow Lane. 2010. It feels like both yesterday and a lifetime ago. The chilling incidents that transpired at Harrow Lane are now etched in my mind, replaying every time the wind howls or a shadow flickers. My name is Dylan, and I've always been curious about the unknown, particularly about ghost towns and places that the world seems to have forgotten. My college buddy, Elise, shared a similar fascination. Together, we had embarked on numerous explorations, but none compared to what awaited us at Harrow Lane. Our latest expedition was inspired by a tip from Carter, a historian with a penchant for the macabre. He had found mentions of the whispering and located on Harrow Lane, an inn with a disturbing history of unexplained suicides and ghostly phenomena. To further investigate, we enlisted the help of Sierra, a local medium known for her ability to communicate with spirits. On our first night at the Whispering Inn, Sierra was visibly unnerved. She whispered that she felt an overwhelmingly oppressive presence in the inn, as if hundreds of tormented souls were crying out for release. Later, as we settled into our rooms, I heard soft sobbing from the hallway. Initially dismissing it as my imagination, the sound grew louder, echoing through the desolate corridors. Elise confirmed that she too had heard the eerie lament. Sierra, driven by her empathy for the restless spirits, decided to conduct a seance. As we sat in a dimly lit room, hands joined in a circle, the air grew colder. Sierra began chanting, calling forth the spirits. Almost immediately, the room was filled with ghostly apparitions, each recounting their tale of sorrow. One spirit, a young woman, revealed that she had been lured to the inn under false pretenses and became a victim of a devil-worshipping cult that used the inn as their unholy sanctuary. Carter, ever the researcher, delved into archives and uncovered the dark history of the inn. It turned out that the Whispering Inn was a hub for occult activities in the late 1800s. The cult, led by a charismatic yet malevolent leader, had carried out rituals, sacrifices, and unspeakable horrors within the inn's walls. Horrified by these revelations, we decided to cleanse the inn. Sierra, using her spiritual knowledge, and Carter, drawing from historical rituals, led the purification process. But as we commenced, an invisible force opposed us. Windows shattered, walls bled, and the spirits became agitated. It was then that Elise, in a moment of inspiration, started singing a lullaby she remembered from her childhood. Her melodic voice filled the inn, and gradually, the chaos subsided. The spirits, drawn to her comforting tune, began to find peace and slowly faded away, leaving behind an atmosphere of tranquility. The Whispering Inn, once a place of dread, was transformed. The weight of its sinister past had been lifted, and the spirits that once roamed its halls had finally found solace. As I look back on that harrowing experience in 2010, it serves as a potent reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the beyond and the importance of confronting darkness with light. Story number 11. The Unhallowed Grounds of Hawthorne Hotel. The year that changed my life. The dark memories of what happened at the Hawthorne Hotel, located in a nearly forgotten suburb, still plague my dreams. I am Emma, an aspiring journalist eager to uncover mysteries. In 2011, two of my closest friends, Lucas and Zoe, decided to join me on an investigation of the Hawthorne Hotel after hearing rumors about its dark history. We were accompanied by Dr. Adrian, a paranormal expert, and Mia, a talented psychic, both determined to uncover the truth. Upon our arrival, the hotel stood tall, albeit dilapidated, with an aura of despair hanging heavily around it. Mia immediately felt a deep sense of sadness and remarked that she could sense souls trapped within the walls of the hotel. As night descended, our team split up to explore different parts of the building. I went with Lucas to investigate the grand ballroom. As we stepped inside, a sudden chill enveloped us. Out of the blue, Lucas froze, pointing at the far end of the room where ghostly figures danced, oblivious to our presence. Meanwhile, Zoe and Dr. Adrian ventured into the basement, discovering a hidden chamber. Within, they found remnants of what appeared to be satanic rituals, old photographs, symbols, and blood-streaked altars. Dr. Adrian postulated that these rituals could be the reason for the hotel's haunting. Mia, using her psychic abilities, attempted to communicate with the spirits. She discovered that the hotel had been the epicenter for a devil-worshipping cult that had lured innocent victims, leading to numerous unexplained deaths. The leader, an influential man from the town, used the hotel as a front for his dark desires. The most unsettling discovery was a journal detailing the procedures of demonic possessions and exorcisms, with the last entry revealing that a significant ritual had gone horribly wrong, leading to the death of the one being exorcised. Determined to put an end to the haunting, we decided to cleanse the hotel. Mia guided us through an intense spiritual ritual. But as we began, we felt an overwhelming malevolent force fighting back. Dark shadows crept along the walls, whispering threats, and chilling winds blew with relentless fury. It was Zoe, remembering a protective chant her grandmother had taught her, who began to sing. The force of her voice, combined with Mia's psychic energy and Dr. Adrian's knowledge, gradually pushed back the dark presence. One by one, the spirits were released from their torment. As dawn broke, a sense of peace finally settled upon the Hawthorne Hotel. We left the place, vowing never to return but grateful for having liberated the souls trapped there. Now, as I recount the events of 2011, the horrors of the Hawthorne Hotel serve as a reminder of the thin boundary between our world and the supernatural, and the profound darkness that can reside in the most unsuspecting of places. Story number 12. Echoes from Room 313. The year I'll never forget. The chilling tale of the Cedar Inn still gives me nightmares, even though it's been years since I set foot in that haunted suburb. My name is Alex. My girlfriend, Leah, and I were urban explorers, always on the lookout for haunted places. That year, we decided to unravel the mysteries of the Cedar Inn, infamous for its Room 313, from which guests often never returned. We teamed up with Jackson, a videographer, Vanessa, a historian with vast knowledge about ghost towns and haunted places, and Felix, a medium known to communicate with otherworldly entities. Our first evening at the Cedar Inn was deceptively calm. We dined in the musty dining hall, discussing our plan for the upcoming nights. Jackson had set up cameras in the corridors and, most importantly, in Room 313. During our first night, Felix felt a surge of energy emanating from Room 313. Gathering our equipment, we headed there. I cautiously turned the knob and the door creaked open. The room was cold, much colder than the rest of the hotel. As we started setting up, Vanessa began detailing the history. The room was supposedly where a powerful cult leader, known as the Seer, performed rituals to summon demonic entities. Many who had stayed there ended up committing suicide, their deaths unexplained and their reasons unknown. The night took a terrifying turn when Felix went into a trance. His voice morphed into a deep growl, and he began recounting the painful memories of the souls trapped in Room 313. We witnessed horrifying apparitions of past guests, their faces twisted in pain and sorrow, appearing and disappearing sporadically. Vanessa stumbled upon a diary hidden in a drawer. It belonged to a woman named Eliza who had been deeply in love with the Seer. She wrote about his manipulation, devil worship, and the countless souls he had trapped. The final entry was a ritual to release the souls, but it was clear Eliza had never gotten a chance to perform it. Leah, always the brave one, decided that we should complete the ritual. With Vanessa guiding us through the ancient words, and Jackson capturing everything on film, we began the incantation. The room shook violently, and Felix, still in his trance, cried out in pain. The spirits of Room 313 grew more vivid, circling us, their voices joining ours in a deafening cacophony. It felt like an eternity, but as dawn approached, the ritual concluded. A sudden, inexplicable peace filled the room. Felix finally emerged from his trance, exhausted but alive. The spirits had been released. As we packed our things to leave, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. We had liberated the souls of Cedar Inn's Room 313. But even now, when I close my eyes, I can still hear the echoing cries of those lost souls, a haunting reminder of that fateful night in 2012. Story number 13. Shadows of the Harrow Hotel. 2013 was a year that left a dark imprint on my memory. Ever since that fateful trip to the Harrow Hotel, located in a forgotten suburb, my dreams have been tainted with the spectral voices and chilling events of those nights. I'm Ethan, an avid paranormal enthusiast. My childhood friend, Lucy, shared the same passion. Our journeys took us to the eeriest corners of the world, yet nothing prepared us for the Harrow. Our small team consisted of Ravi, a seasoned journalist whose skepticism often balanced our excitement, and Mia, a talented psychic who could sense energies beyond our realm. Upon arriving, the imposing structure of the Harrow Hotel, with its towering Gothic spires and cracked windows, sent shivers down my spine. As we entered, Mia immediately felt a heavy presence. She whispered to us that the hotel was a potent vessel of anguish, mostly concentrated on the top floor. That evening, while exploring the lobby, Ravi stumbled upon newspaper clippings detailing the hotel's grim history. The Harrow had earned its reputation as a suicide hotel during the 1900s when a string of inexplicable deaths occurred, particularly in room 409. Guests reported eerie shadows and haunting whispers, with some even claiming to have seen devilish rituals in the dark corners of the room. Determined, Lucy and I decided to spend the night in room 409, while Ravi set up cameras and Mia tried to communicate with any lingering spirits. The moment we stepped in, a chilling breeze wrapped around us, the room's temperature dropping dramatically. Hours passed, and just when I thought the night would remain uneventful, a ghostly figure manifested before us, a woman with sorrowful eyes and hands dripping with fresh blood. Mia, her voice trembling, told us her name was Caroline, a victim of a devil-worshipping cult that had taken over the hotel in its early days. Her spirit, along with many others, had been trapped, tormented by the constant reliving of their horrific deaths. Feeling a surge of determination, Lucy suggested performing an exorcism to free Caroline and the other trapped souls. Using an old ritual Mia knew, we began our attempt. As we chanted, the room darkened, and tortured screams filled the air. Shadows writhed and twisted, trying to break free. The intensity increased, causing the floor to tremble and windows to shatter. As dawn approached, a blinding light suddenly filled room 409, and an overwhelming calmness descended. The spirits, including Caroline, were finally free. Mia, tears streaming down her face, whispered her goodbyes to the departing souls. The Harrow Hotel remains etched in our minds as the most haunting investigation of our lives. I still remember the weight in my chest and the desperate cries of the spirits, a grim reminder of the unspeakable horrors that once took place within its walls. Story number 14. Echoes of Ashwood Inn. 2014 was the year my life took a dark turn. The memories of the Ashwood Inn, nestled in the remote suburbs, still grip me with fear and regret. My name is Jake, and my fascination with the paranormal led me to that cursed place. I was joined by my two closest friends, Sarah and Alex, on this fateful journey. Alex was the skeptic of our group, armed with scientific tools to debunk the supernatural. Sarah, ever the believer, had a gift of sensitivity towards the spiritual realm. We also collaborated with Clara, an investigative journalist intrigued by the inn's history, and Derek, a priest and exorcist experienced in confronting malevolent entities. I remember driving towards the Ashwood Inn, its silhouette appearing menacingly through the dense fog. Clara had shared the disturbing reports of guests who entered the inn and were never seen again. Whispers of a devil-worshipping cult, once active in the area, added to its dark legend. On our first night, as we set up our equipment, Sarah collapsed. She described visions of hooded figures performing grotesque rituals, sacrificing people to appease dark forces. She felt a connection to a girl named Emily, who seemed to be at the center of this macabre ceremony. Determined to uncover the truth, we began our investigation. Clara discovered a hidden basement, its entrance concealed behind the reception desk. As we descended, the air grew colder, and a feeling of overwhelming dread consumed us. Alex's equipment started to malfunction, capturing distorted voices chanting, "The pact must be honored." We found an old, rotting book detailing rituals, and in its pages, a photograph of a young girl who bore a striking resemblance to Sarah. This discovery was unsettling. The possibility of reincarnation or a connection beyond lifetimes became increasingly likely. Sarah confirmed our suspicions. She was Emily in her past life. Derek, realizing the gravity of the situation, decided that an exorcism was essential. The spirit of Emily was trying to warn Sarah of impending doom and needed to be freed. As Derek began the ritual, the atmosphere grew oppressive. Shadows danced along the walls, and the distant screams of tormented souls echoed around us. Suddenly, Sarah began levitating, her eyes rolling back. The entities of the inn resisted Derek's efforts, drawing power from the unholy rites performed years ago. Alex, Clara, and I formed a protective circle around them, chanting prayers to reinforce Derek's exorcism. Hours seemed to pass in mere moments. With one final scream from Sarah, a blinding light burst forth, and silence enveloped the room. Exhausted but relieved, we found Sarah unconscious but alive. Derek confirmed the spirits had been banished. The Ashwood Inn stands as a testament to our brush with malevolent forces. The weight of the past and the torment of countless souls lingered there, reminding us of the unspeakable horrors that once thrived within its walls. The experience bound us together, forever haunted by the echoes of Ashwood. Story number 15. The Malevolent Shadows of Harrow Hotel. 2015, the year that still haunts my every waking moment. My name is Lydia, and this is my retelling of the events that transpired at the infamous Harrow Hotel. It began as an innocent adventure with my best friend, Eva. We were obsessed with exploring haunted places, and Harrow Hotel's reputation made it impossible to resist. To aid us, we enlisted the help of Neil, a renowned paranormal investigator, his assistant Rachel, a tech whiz with a keen sense for the supernatural, and Ethan, a medium with a particular sensitivity to the spirits of the departed. I remember the day we arrived at the hotel. I was driving, with Eva in the passenger seat, the silhouette of the Harrow Hotel looming menacingly against the horizon, its windows seeming like vacant eyes staring into our souls. Our initial investigations were quiet. However, Rachel's advanced equipment picked up sporadic energy spikes, which she claimed were potential spiritual activities. That night, as we sat around our base camp, Ethan began to act erratically. He claimed that he was channeling spirits, including a young woman named Lillian, who had taken her life in the hotel decades ago. Eva and I found a dusty old journal in the hotel's library. The journal detailed numerous rituals and referenced a devil-worshipping cult that had been active in the hotel's early years. The last entry mentioned a ritual gone wrong, releasing a malevolent entity that was said to push the hotel's inhabitants towards self-harm and suicide. Things took a dark turn on our third night. Rachel's equipment started capturing chilling EVPs, voices whispering, "Join us." Neil, in his skepticism, brushed them off as interference. But Ethan's condition deteriorated. He would often be found wandering the corridors, muttering Lillian's name. One evening, as I was walking back to our base, I witnessed Eva standing on the edge of the hotel's roof, as if in a trance. With a heart-pounding rush, I managed to pull her back just in time. She had no memory of how she got there or why she felt the urge to jump. Realizing that the malevolent entity was targeting us, Neil decided it was time to leave. But the spirits had other plans. As we were packing, Ethan, in a possessed state, revealed the entity's intention to complete the ritual using one of us. That's when I remembered Ethan's connection to Lillian. I proposed a plan to use Ethan as a conduit to communicate with Lillian, hoping she could guide us to banish the entity. With Rachel's tech expertise, we set up a seance. As the session began, the room turned cold, shadows flickering across the walls. Ethan's voice changed, becoming more feminine. "Save yourselves. The ritual must be reversed." Using the journal as a guide, Eva, Neil, and Rachel began chanting the counter-ritual while I held Ethan's hand, urging Lillian to help us. With a deafening scream, the room was flooded with light. When the dust settled, Ethan was unconscious, but alive. The malevolent presence was gone. The Harrow Hotel stands abandoned, a stark reminder of the dangers lurking in the shadows. We walked away with our lives, forever changed, forever haunted by the memories of that cursed place.